Welcome. My name is Randy Jenny, and this is a short video demonstrating data tables, both one and two variable data tables, and solver. So I'm going to begin with my cursor in E3, and I'm going to create a series of numbers in here. So I'm going to start with 200, press enter, 220, and then a good way to fill the rest of them in is to select those two cells and then drag the handle downward, and Excel understands that that's supposed to be a sequence. Now I've already kind of pre-filled in these next few cells, F2, G2, and H2. So F2 refers to cell C20, total income. G2 refers to cell C32, and H refers to cell C34, the balance. So now I'm going to make my one variable data table. The key to it is to select this region and then go to Data, Whatif Analysis, and Data Table. For a one variable data table, you don't have to fill in the row input cell. You only have to fill in the column input cell. So since this column is a number of values that all refer to number of attendees, it's the number of attendees cell that I'm really interested in, B4. So I click OK, and it fills in the data table. Then I select this region and change the formatting just to improve the appearance. So I change it to accounting with no decimal places, I believe. Yeah. Okay, down here I'm going to do the two variable data table. So again, I'm going to start with $50 and press tab and do $60. Then I'm going to select those two cells, grab the fill handle, and fill across. I also need a key formula in here. I need this cell to refer to cell C34. So I'm going to say equals C34. That's essential for us to build our two variable data table. Then again, I select this region and I do Data, Whatif, Data Table. This time, my row input cell, I take a look at this row, and those are all ticket prices. So I find my cell in my original sheet that refers to ticket prices, and I click on it, B9. The column, all of these numbers are attendees or attendance numbers. So I click on my original cell, B4, and click OK. And it fills in all of those values. Again, I do a bit of formatting by selecting the interior range there, and I go back to Home and do Accounting and no decimal places. And the last thing I have to do here is find the first cells where I start to make a profit. So all of these numbers in brackets are losses. So there's a cell where I'm starting to make a profit. And there's a cell, and there's a cell. So the first positive number. Now, I skipped a few steps, so I think by the time you get to this point, the cells that contain a profit will be slightly different, but just find the first cells that are not negative, and you're asked to shade them in a certain fashion. I'm going to move on to the solver sheet. And on the solver sheet, I'm going to bring up solver. So I'm going to go to Data and bring up solver. And in the solver program, I'm going to select the balance cell, make sure it's cell C34. And I'm going to use solver by changing which variable cells. I'm going to change number of attendees, comma, and ticket prices. So B4 and B9. And then I have to start adding these constraints. So for example, it says in step 12, set a constraint so the number of attendees entered as in the input section of the workbook does not exceed the number limitation in B12. Okay, so I would add a constraint, and I would say, so number of attendees has to be less than or equal to the maximum. Oops, pardon me, let me do that again. So number of attendees has to be less than or equal to, click over here, the maximum, and add that as a constraint. If that was the only constraint I was doing, I could click on OK, and then I can see the constraints that I've added in. The only other kind of constraint that is a little bit unusual is sometimes you want to add an integer constraint. So some particular cell has to be an integer, so it can't be 1.7 or 2.3. It has to be 1 or 2 or 3. That kind of thing. So you might need to add a constraint like that. And the rest of it, I think you can do on your own. Thanks. Bye.